Everest is directed by Baltazar Cormacuir. I know I butchered that, and I'm terribly sorry. But this movie is a true story, and it's about the ascent of the tallest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. Thank God they actually filmed around Mount Everest instead of using CGI. Because after watching Attack of the Clones 13 times and for my review, you get to appreciate being on set and not being in a studio using blue screen. So thank you for actually filming this at Mount Everest. Everest stars Jason Clarke, Josh Brolin, Jake Gyllenhaal, Robin Knight, and Keira Knightley. In the past, I didn't really like Keira Knightley because mostly she just did like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and I'm not a big fan of those movies. After watching The Imitation Game, she's really impressed me, and she continues to impress in this movie, and she does a phenomenal job. And also, this is another greatly casted movie in September, so keep it up, guys. Now, with all these stars, it's kind of easy to get disengaged because you think that since they have so much star power that they're not going to die because they're just not going to pay all that money for an actor and then just kill them off. Everest takes that principle and says, heck no! I don't care how famous you are, I'll kill you anyway. Everyone is at risk, and that keeps you totally locked in and engaged. And that's something I really liked about this movie because it doesn't put an unnecessary spotlight on somebody just because they're too famous. This movie also does a great job of not making any unnecessary villains, and it uses the mountain as a villain, which is really smart. Because Mother Nature is scary enough without making some fake villain or some antagonist to try to beat the heroes into going up the mountain. But for the most part, everyone's pretty likable in this movie, but you kind of get to follow Jason Clarke and Josh Brolin and Jake Gyllenhaal the most, and they're usually the most likable guys in the movie. Now, I had the privilege to see this movie in IMAX and in theaters, and let me just say, if you have the opportunity to see this movie in IMAX, please do it, because this movie is a gift to see in IMAX. There is a scene in particular where they're walking across these ladders and they're trying to get across, and the cinematography in that scene is absolutely insane, and it's so intense because the angle that it films at really makes you feel like you're there climbing with them, and it's really intense, and that's something that you couldn't have gotten in a normal theater that you got in IMAX. And when I left this movie, I got in my car and just cranked up the heat just because that movie just makes you feel so cold and just like you're actually climbing with them and on this mountain with them, and that's a really great experience to have. Like I said earlier, all the characters are very likable and you're rooting for all of them. There's a scene where Michael Kelly's character is with all the other climbers and they're at a table, and he asks everybody, why are you climbing this mountain? And that little bit of dialogue gives enough character development for everybody in the movie. That's a great scene, and it's a really cool and interesting way to find out why these people are doing this and what they're there for. This movie is also a lot sadder than I had expected. I was in the movie and the people in front of me and behind me were crying, and I was like, keep it together, man, because I was trying not to like lose it because it was so sad at parts.
It's enough to make a grown man cry, but not this man. Get back in there, Tia.
And I have to thank the actors for that and the actresses, because they did a great job, and it really kept me interested and really kept me involved and sympathizing with these people. With all that being said, the pacing of this movie drags a little bit in the second act. It gets a little bit redundant at times to where they're just continually being on the mountain, and I wish I could have seen a little bit more, maybe from the people at home or at the campsite. But all the great visuals, cinematography, acting, directing gives this movie a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching, guys, and make sure you watch my next review of Pawn Sacrifice. That should be coming up very soon. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.